Hello everyone. Welcome back to Life with Thu. My name is Thu. I am a 35-year-old mother living in Hanoi, Vietnam. Today I have 100,000 Vietnamese dong, that is about $4. I want to see what this small amount of money can buy at a local market in Hanoi. Can I cook a simple family meal for me and my two children with only 100,000 Vietnamese dong? Today is not only about food. It is about daily life, small choices, and how a mother tries to make a simple day feel warm for her children. On the way to the market, we pass Văn Cao Street. This area of Hanoi is changing. Some parts of the road are covered for construction, as the city prepares for new metro lines and better transportation in the future. The road can feel narrower. Traffic can move more slowly. There is dust, noise, and a little inconvenience. But I try to look at it in a positive way. Hanoi is growing, and maybe one day, when my children are older, moving around the city will be easier and safer. Before going into the market, we stop for breakfast. Today, we eat beef pho. This bowl costs 30.000 đồng Việt Nam, a little more than $1. The pho is not part of my 100,000 đồng Nam market budget. That money is only for the food I will buy to cook at home. This restaurant is not the most famous place, but it is close to the market, clean and cool enough for the children on a hot summer morning. After breakfast, we continue with our small market challenge. After breakfast, we walk into the local market. In Vietnam, many families still buy daily food at traditional markets. A market is different from a supermarket. In a supermarket, prices are usually fixed. At a market, people can ask the price, compare between sellers, and sometimes bargain a little. Bargaining is a normal part of daily life here. It does not always mean the buyer wants the cheapest price. Sometimes it is just a small conversation between the buyer and the seller. Traditional markets may not be arranged as neatly as supermarkets, but many people still prefer them because the food is fresh. Vegetables, fish, shrimp, tofu, meat, fruit, and dry goods are sold early in the day. If you know how to choose, you can buy good food for your family and still stay within your budget. For international viewers, this market may look busy and noisy, but for many Vietnamese mothers, this is a very familiar place. It is where many family meals begin. Inside the market, there are many kinds of food. First, we pass the fish stalls. The sellers prepare fresh fish early in the morning. Some people buy fish for lunch. Some buy it for dinner. In Vietnam, many families still like buying fresh food on the same day they cook it. Then we pass the frog stall. Some foods may look unfamiliar to international viewers, but they are part of traditional market life here. Every country has its own food culture, and in Vietnam, local markets show many parts of daily life that you may not see in a supermarket. After that, we walk through the vegetable stalls. There are many kinds of green vegetables, herbs, tomatoes, onions, and seasonal produce. Vegetables are very important in Vietnamese meals. Even with a small budget, I always try to include vegetables because they make the meal feel lighter and more balanced. We also pass the flower stalls. Flowers make the market feel softer and more colorful. Some people buy flowers for their homes. Some buy them for family altars or special occasions. Even in a busy market, small flowers can make the morning feel more peaceful. Then we walk past the fruit stalls. There are many colors here. Fruit in Vietnam can change with the season, and many families buy a little fruit after buying food for meals. I do not buy much fruit today because my budget is only 100,000 Vietnamese dong for the meal. I need to focus on what I can cook for me and my 2 children. We also pass the dry goods area. There are small items like seasonings, noodles, dried foods, and basic ingredients that many families keep at home. These small things may not look important, but they help complete a meal. A little fish sauce, a little salt, a little seasoning, some green onions, or a small piece of garlic can make simple food taste much better. Finally, we come to the meat area. Today, I decide to buy beef. Beef is more expensive than many other foods, so I do not buy a lot. I only buy 60,000 dong Vietnam of beef. It is a small amount, but enough to make one savory dish for our family meal. With my 100,000 dong Vietnam, I need to choose carefully. I spend 60,000 Vietnamese dong on beef, 10,000 Vietnamese dong young squash leaves, and the last 20,000 Vietnamese dong on tomatoes, onion, green onions, fish sauce, salt, and a little seasoning. So today, my 100,000 dong Vietnam will become 3 dishes: beef with onion, young squash leaf soup, and fried tofu with tomato sauce. These are not fancy dishes, but they are familiar, simple, and enough for a normal family meal. When I go to the market, I always think about balance. I cannot buy everything I want. I have to choose what is useful, what is fresh, and what my children can eat easily. This is a small challenge, but it is also a very real part of daily life for many mothers. A meal begins long before the food is cooked. It begins here, in the market, with small choices and a careful budget. After buying the food, I bring everything home. I put the ingredients on the table and look at what 100,000 Vietnamese dong bought today. 60,000 Vietnamese dong for beef, 10,000 Vietnamese dong for tofu, 10,000 Vietnamese dong for young squash leaves, and 20,000 Vietnamese dong for tomatoes, onion, green onions, fish sauce, salt, and a little seasoning. It is not a lot of money. It is not a large amount of food, but it is enough for a simple family meal. This is the part I like about cooking at home. A small budget can go further when I choose each item myself. I can decide what to buy. I can compare prices. I can choose fresh vegetables. And I can cook the food in a way that is suitable for my children. For a family meal, I do not always need many expensive things. I only need rice, one savory dish, one bowl of soup, and one simple dish that the children can eat easily. First, I prepare the young squash leaves for the soup. I wash the vegetables carefully. In Vietnamese meals, a bowl of soup is very important. We eat rice almost every day, and soup makes the meal easier to eat, especially in summer. This soup is simple. It does not need many ingredients. But when it is served with rice and other dishes, the whole meal feels more balanced. After that, I prepare the beef. I cut the onion and season the beef with a little garlic, a little oyster sauce, fish sauce, and a small pinch of seasoning. I do not use too much, just enough to give the beef more flavor. In many Vietnamese homes, this kind of quick seasoning is very common. It helps the dish smell better, and when the beef is cooked with onion, the flavor becomes warmer and more fragrant. Now I heat the pan and stir fry the beef quickly. Beef should not be cooked for too long. If it stays in the pan too long, it can become tough. So I stir fry it fast. Then I add the onion. In just a few minutes, the beef and onion are ready. The smell of garlic, beef, and onion fills the small kitchen. This dish is simple, but it makes the family meal feel warmer and more complete. Because beef is more expensive, I only use a small amount. But with the onion and the seasoning, even a small portion can still bring good flavor to the meal. The last dish I cook is fried tofu with tomato sauce. I cut the tofu into smaller pieces and fry it until the outside becomes a little firm. The sound of tofu frying is very familiar to me. It is a simple sound, but it reminds me of many family meals at home. Then I cook the tomatoes until they become soft. The tomato sauce gives the dish a warm color. After that, I add the tofu back into the pan so it can absorb the sauce. This dish is very familiar in Vietnam. It is not expensive, it is not difficult, but many families like it because it is easy to eat with rice. For busy mothers, tofu is very useful. It cooks quickly, it is affordable, and children usually accept it more easily than some other foods. I do not need to make the meal look perfect. I just want it to be clean, warm, and enough. Now the meal is ready. From 100,000 Vietnamese dong, I made 3 dishes. 60,000 Vietnamese dong became beef with onion. 10,000 Vietnamese dong became tofu with tomato sauce. 10,000 Vietnamese dong became young squash leaf soup. And the last 20,000 Vietnamese dong helped me buy tomatoes, onion, green onions, fish sauce, salt, and a little seasoning. It is not a rich meal. It is not a big meal. But for a normal day with me and my 2 children, it is enough. There is rice. There is soup. There is tofu. There is a little beef for the children. When I sit down to eat, I feel that the market challenge is not only about spending money. It is about how we use what we have. For some people, $4 may not feel like much, but in a local market in Hanoi, with careful choices, it can still become a warm meal. Life is different in every country. Food prices are different. Family needs are different. But every parent understands one thing. We all want to give our children something good, even when the budget is small. After the meal and the housework, our day is not over yet. The market challenge ended with our home meal. The dinner tonight is a separate gathering with other families. In the afternoon, we prepare to go out again. Tonight, my older son will meet some of his classmates and their parents. The children have finished primary school. After this summer, they will begin grade 6. For the children, this is a big step. For the parents, it is emotional too. To be honest, it has been a long time since we last ate at a restaurant. On normal days, I usually cook at home to save money. A simple, home-cooked meal is the most familiar choice for us. So today, when the children know they will eat out with friends and other families, they are very excited. For adults, a restaurant dinner may not feel very special, but for children, it can be a big joy. They get to meet friends. They get to sit somewhere different. They get to eat outside after a long time, and they get to feel that today is a special day. When we arrive, I can feel the children's excitement. They see their friends. They talk, laugh, and sit together. The parents also meet, talk, and ask about one another. In Vietnam, parents sometimes gather like this when children finish an important school year. It is not only about eating, it is a way to mark a small milestone. For my older son, this evening means more than a dinner. He is saying goodbye to a familiar chapter. He has spent years in primary school. He had familiar teachers, familiar classrooms, and familiar friends. Some of these children may not study in the same class again. They may still be friends, but their everyday school life will not be the same. After summer, things will change. Grade 6 means a new environment, new teachers, new classmates, a new way of learning, more subjects, more responsibility. As a mother, I feel happy, but also a little emotional. I remember when my son first started grade 1. He was still so small. Now he is getting ready to become a middle school student. Watching my son with his friends, I feel many things at the same time. I am happy that he has grown. I am proud that he has finished one school chapter. But I also worry a little. Will he make new friends easily? Will he adjust to the new school environment? Will he study well? I know I cannot walk this road for him, but I can stay beside him. I can remind him to keep trying. I hope he learns how to ask for help when he needs it, how to treat his friends kindly, and how to keep going when school feels difficult. Today started with 100,000 đồng Việt Nam, a small challenge at a local market in Hanoi. But at the end of the day, what I remember most is not only the food, it is my children's excitement when they got to eat outside after a long time. It is my son sitting with his friends before they begin a new school chapter. As a mother, I cannot give my children everything, but I can give them warm meals, small memories, and a home to return to. Thank you for watching this second video on Life with Thu. In your country, what can $4 buy for a family meal? And do families celebrate when children move to a new school level? I would love to read your stories in the comments.